Welcome. Game starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Ready, Set, Activate podcast, your home for all of your active gaming needs. I'm Ty, and today we've got a returning guest you may remember from a previous episode, an Activate game developer, David Plumridge. Today, we're diving deep into the world of badges, how they're made, how difficulty is decided, and even some behind-the-scenes stories. Let's jump into it. David, welcome back. Can you share what your role is at Activate?
Yeah, so my role is a game analyst. So I go through all of the games, make sure that they all meet our quota for kind of how we want them to be quality-wise, as well as interact with the player base on our Discord to see kind of what people are wanting to change and what people like and love.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Okay. So to kick things off on a little bit of like a lighter note, if you could instantly earn one completely ridiculous badge in real life, what would it be?
So I honestly had a really tough time trying to figure out a badge for this one. But for me, if I was coming up with a badge, the badge I'd want in real life is to visit every country, where that would be something that would be a goal of mine that would go through uh, my life.
Totally. That's super cool. So, like, is there like a favorite country that you've been to thus far?
So I actually don't travel very much at all.
Mm.
I've been to the States twice, and then other than that, I've never left Canada.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Places I would want to go as I would want to go to either Tokyo or Greece would be the two
Hey,
places I'd want to go first.
that's pretty sweet. For me, yeah, Tokyo and like Venice in Italy, I think would be so sick. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, now that we've set the stage, let's take our listeners behind the curtains and talk about how badges actually come to life at Activate. So, when Activate designs badges, who's usually involved in that process?
So they always come to the game design team, which is myself and a couple of the developers.
Mhm.
And then we meet up with Adam, the CEO, to kind of discuss what we think would feel like a good badge. So what are we intending for it and what are we looking to achieve with the badge system as a whole? So that's usually who's involved.
Totally. That's really cool. And like, does that kind of happen during like the creation of a game, or is it more so like after and kind of like hindsight once the game is created and up and running?
So we normally develop badges in the same way that we develop reward systems, where we want the
Mhm.
system of badges to be concurrent as a whole. And so when we design badges, we design them in big batches. And so that way we can
Yes.
discuss, hey, what are the newly released games? What are some interesting things that we want to encourage our players to do? And then we decide how it fits into the current system.
That's super cool. So kind of speaking about like that creation, how is like the badge difficulty determined? Like, is there a testing process to make sure it's challenging but still possible?
Yeah, so every badge starts with an idea, of course. And so as we develop our ideas, we start to think about who do we target with this badge? So, as an example, when we came up with the idea of a badge where you had to repeat the same levels multiple times, as we would discuss that idea, we would be like, well, we want this badge to be for maybe the hardcore players as well as our casuals, because that could be a beginner one or a hard one.
Hmm.
As we discuss who is for, then we kind of branch out on those ideas of being like, well, how good are our hardcore players? How hard are we able to make it? And the
Hmm.
ones that are for the casuals, it's more of an idea. We talk about vibes. We talk, are we looking to make this really hard or are we making this to be one of the gateway badges?
Totally. I like that. And yeah, that's one thing that I really love about like the badge system is you've got like, yeah, badges specifically like deja vu or like 10 for 10 or like the numbers for numbers kind of like it is nice how it's like, yeah, they're kind of like different levels of similar badges that kind of like get a repeatability with them that you can
Yes.
just use to, yeah, just get like that kind of consistency up. But also like as you progress, you can really be like, oh, I completed this badge exactly like this, just a little bit like harder and next level. It has that progression just like the games, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah. We always try to come up with a process that makes it so there's always a badge that you can do at your specific level, right?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. And kind of like speaking of like just determining that a badge is possible, say for like the higher level badges, creating like for those higher level players, is there a way that you guys like test that before it ends up like coming out to the players?
So luckily, so when we first designed badges, it started off as an idea, of course, and then I would be one of the only people who would kind of go through and make sure that they were possible.
Hmm.
And so I would just dedicate like every night to just try to beat these badges over and over and over. There are a couple badges that took me weeks of just playing them, coming up with different strategies, just thinking about how they're able to do it.
Mhm.
Nowadays, we've been hiring more and more players who are also very, very good at Activate. So thank goodness. And the idea is that now we actually have like a team that we can talk to and discuss, hey, can you go reach out to your team and your group play it? And we can discuss, listen, that doesn't seem possible, or that seems like way too easy. And we can actually discuss it with like a team of experts, basically, instead of it needing to be just myself and Adam kind of being like, yeah, that feels okay, or how long are we going to dedicate to beating it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, like when you're designing badges, do you ever like design a badge to encourage players to try different parts of a game that they might normally like avoid or not see at first sight?
Yes, of course. Those are my personal favorite kinds of badges.
Mhm.
I like to say that what I want to avoid is too many badges where you earn them, quote unquote, accidentally.
Mhm.
So we have a couple of games, and it's very common in achievement styles and badges styles where you want the players to look at badges for the first time and already have one or two unlocked,
Mhm.
right? A lot of video games have it where when you beat the tutorial, you get an achievement. My goal was always to say, hey, we have some top level players who are bringing in new players or are hitting their skill cap. How can we make it so that they are going to come in on a time and experience their favorite game again? Because when I beat, as an example, Spellinator for the first time, it's like, oh man, levels 1 through 10 were great. And now I found out, oh, there's a badge specifically for Spellinator in a unique way. And that's really cool. So now I'm able to go do that again and experience my favorite game again. So we really try to make that a big portion of the badges is the same games you know and love with a twist on them.
Totally. I love that. And I definitely can resonate with that, like within like Mega Grid specifically, like Order Up and like Grid and stuff like that. Just like replaying those and kind of looking for the different twists in it has been phenomenal. So you guys are doing great. Love it. So yeah, when you guys are creating a badge, what would you say is like the most challenging type of badge to create and why?
So I'm going to start by saying what the easiest type of badge to create
Mhm.
is, because then it'll kind of lead into why the other ones are so difficult. The easiest badge to create actually is any badge that is for one specific type of game. So, as an example, hands before feet, which is, of course, the hit every button before touching any blue tile in Mega Grid level 8. The idea of that one is very simple. The computer can see it. I know exactly what I need to look for in this one specific type of level.
Mhm.
When you're looking at something which is like 10 for 10, right? Which is beat the 10 different level 10s in a row,
Yeah.
that becomes a lot harder because now you need all of the rooms to communicate with each other and say, hey,
Mhm.
yeah, I remember Ty. He was in my game and he beat a level 10. And now that tells the other rooms and other games, hey, if he beats a level 10 in yours, pass this on, right? It's like a big game of telephone. And
Yeah.
so if
Yeah.
one thing goes wrong in that, that can be a little bit of a difficulty for us to test because all
Mhm.
players play Activate in such unique ways. And so to have something where it's all together in one single batch, that's the most difficult type because it's the hardest one to actually make sure we get it right.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, and it actually, like, in my mind, I thought, like, kind of something that was a little more, like, technical in a room might be harder to create, but I guess, like, yeah, it's the fact that the room is communicating with itself that would make it easier, so that's cool. I still have yet to beat 10 for 10, so I'll have to keep that in mind kind of while I'm working on that one.
Yeah, just remember that it was as hard for us to make as it is for you to try to beat, you know?
Fair enough. You bet, you bet. Oh, man. Well, yeah, so, like, in your opinion, kind of like you shared a little bit before, but, like, what do you think is, like, a specific quality that you need to have to make a good badge?
Um, for me, the specific quality to be the best badges is ones that's accessible for everybody, but also fun for everybody. There's a big thing in
Mhm.
game design where if you try to design something for everybody, you're going to fail one of the groups, right?
Yeah.
Where it's going to be too easy for the hardcore players and too hard for the beginning players. And so I think one of the things that makes an incredible badge is one that every single time you play the games in the same way. Everyone seems to play, as an example, laser in the exact same way,
Mhm.
right? You go
Yeah.
in, you go as quickly as you can. Sometimes you trip a laser. That's okay, whatever. But the best badges are the ones where we take what you do normally and we put in a different game perspective that doesn't make the game harder, but makes the
Mhm,
game different. And so
mhm,
those are in my cream of the crop for badges.
mhm. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, so of course, earning badges is more than just about the challenge. There's also a reward system behind it. So let's talk a little bit about that, how coins and incentives work. Right now, badges award coins based on total count thresholds, right? So it's like 25 badges, 50 badges, 75, and then 100% of all badges. So some players have wondered if like difficulty based coin rewards might make sense, right? So like, say for example, like something that would be easier, Deja Vu 1, compared to activated where it's like beat 100% of the levels. Each badge rewarded a certain amount of stars or coins for that completion.
Yeah. So, one of the reasons that we do our thresholds is that what we really want is for everyone to be able to experience the difficulty that makes sense for them. So, just because you and me might be really good at the Mega Grid games
Mhm,
doesn't mean that you and me are very good at the press games, as an example, or the puzzle type games.
mhm,
And so the idea is that if we did difficulty based ones, our concern was that they were going to be very subjective.
mm,
Well, why would I go out of my way to beat this puzzle type badge when I am not very good at puzzles? My memory's bad. I'm colorblind. I only come in with a group of 2, and this seems to be a lot easier with a group of 5, right? And
yeah,
then it rewards
yeah,
me a small amount of those coins. So the
mhm,
idea is that when we did our threshold amounts, it was very much like, hey, you need to complete 25 badges. That is in itself an accomplishment. So here are some
mhm,
coins. But
mhm,
this way you can be like, hey, these memory ones, they don't reward me very many coins, so I'm not going to do them. And instead of thinking that way, you can say, these memory type ones, I'm going to push until I'm up to my like 50 amount of badges, or I'm
mhm,
looking for my final couple percents. And now I'm going to really change how I play the game. I'm going to bring in my neighbors who I like have to pay to get them to come in. And so now I'm getting them to come in because their memory seems incredible.
yeah,
Or I'm like trying to find strangers on the Discord and be like, hey, someone please help me with this badge. And so the more that you have to kind of go out of your way, the more that the system of rewarding on per badge amounts don't make as much sense. And
yeah,
so that's why we really switched over to our thresholds.
that's really cool. Also, a question for the reward system, is 100% completion still 50% off for life?
It is. So once you complete every single badge at your specific location, then you will unlock 50% off for life in its current versions.
That is phenomenal. I still so hope to get there. I am like very close. I think I'm 12 badges off. So I'm definitely determined to reach that threshold for sure. So those are the systems in place. But let's switch gears a little bit and get into the more of like the creative and fun part of the badge conversation. If you could make a new badge for any Activate game without restrictions, what would it be?
So I thought about this for a while because of course, I think everyone has their favorite games.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's all about letting people explore them in different ways. And so at first I was like, if I could make, just to start off, any badge, right? My first badge would be to have people, I want badges that build community first. So
Hmm.
my first one is that if we could link it up to the Discord as an example. So the first time you take your account and you go onto the Discord and you verify it, I
Hmm.
want it to be able to one day just give you a badge.
That'd be
The
sick.
second thing to note is that my other thing I really want is I want a badge for every single game.
Hmm.
Our goal for games is that every single time I release a new game, I want there to be a specific badge for it. I think it's absolutely possible to. When we were designing all of the badges originally, that was part of our goal was to make one for every single game.
Hmm.
But some games are just a little too hard to do.
Yeah.
It
That
just
makes sense.
resulted in the unstoppable badges.
Hmm.
But I kind of nailed it down, and to me, I think that the badge I would want to make a game in, it's Clock Stoppers. I've always wanted one
Mm,
because to me, there's a lot of chaos in Clock Stoppers. It's
yeah.
very much
Yeah.
just everyone screaming, everyone's like thinking that their wall is more important than everyone else's wall. And
Yeah.
so a badge to turn that on its head and be like, well, my wall is important, but also I'm thinking of this badge. And so
Yeah.
how do I like kind of wiggle my room around trying to make sure that that's all the same with the limited
Mhm.
information you actually see in the room? Because of
Yeah.
course you see those clocks tick down, but is that enough information to build a badge around it?
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if something that could be done with that is like a left to right for each wall or like something like that. I wonder that'd be
We tried that one
yeah.
actually. The left to
Okay.
right, the thing that made it hard for us in Clockstopper specifically
Mhm.
is two things. Number one, we had a tough time getting people to actually kind of truly understand the
Mhm.
left to right because which direction are you looking at the wall? For some reason, confused a lot of our players. The second thing, though, is that it made some of the levels possibly impossible. Because as I did mine, you'd give me the ball, right? And I'd be like, okay, I'm trying to do left to right, but my right one's going to fail in literally a second. And
Yeah.
so if I do
Yeah.
the badge, I might lose the game because of it.
That makes sense. Yeah. I was thinking of like even some games are programmed specifically for the badge almost, hey?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Call Jenny, it literally changed the entire logic of the level
Yeah.
just so we could make Call Jenny work.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really cool. Speaking of kind of like changing a room or just like doing something a little bit unexpected, has anybody ever like earned a badge in an unexpected or creative way?
So the one thing I will say is that I don't watch a lot of players complete the badges.
Mhm.
Most of the time, if I'm watching them, I'm already thinking about how to fix some of the stuff that they've done. The craziest thing that I heard, though, was my old roommates wanted to get the badge Chasing Rainbows. And for people who don't know, Chasing Rainbows is you have to sign in with 5 different people who are all different ranks, including yourself.
Mhm.
And he mailed his wristband out to other people because he was like, I am just never in a situation where I'm playing that way. And if I'm
Mhm.
going to activate, I want to go with the people I go with every single time.
Mhm.
And so he mailed it off to someone to say, hey, here's like the money for the admission. Just include me in one of your games so I can get my badge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in
Man,
that
that's
way,
really
it was just funny because during the whole Pokemon Go era, my dad bought a burner phone and he would mail it to get the location specific ones. And
yeah.
that's kind of what my friend was thinking. Well, now I get the travel around to different locations badge as well as getting this Chasing Rainbows one.
For sure. Oh man, that's so cool. I love that. Yeah. So for somebody that was like, they're trying to attack badges for the first time, where would you recommend they start badge hunting?
So I always recommend people start badges in the I call them the Deja Vu or the X for X ones,
Mhm.
which is, of course, Deja Vu. For anyone who doesn't know, you can unlock badges at Activate by playing the same level twice or more. Deja Vu 2 is just play the same level 2 twice in a row. Specifically win them, actually. I don't think it's play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then for the 2 for 2, it's beat 2 level 2s differently. Truthfully, those are actually the benchmarks I use to see how many people are trying badges. Because as you know, it is very abnormal for someone to just beat a level and be like, oh, great, I'm going to go back in and play that level again. 99% of the time, they're going to hit that next level option or
Yeah.
they're going to go to a new room. And so,
Totally.
in that way, I feel like those are the 2 badges that if you haven't started your journey, those are going to be the easiest ones to kind of move up and see kind of where it fits into your difficulties to try to get those 25 badge thresholds.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. When it comes to like a person, like, again, just kind of starting out that badge journey, kind of like in the sense of like, like a new way to kind of look at the game. So is there a certain kind of point at which you'd recommend people get into badges or that you just typically see people kind of start to like look a little deeper and get into that badges phase?
So the badges phase starts in one of 2 ways, I find. And so if you're one of these 2 people, then this is kind of when you're going to start thinking about what's next. And then badges are just normally what is next.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part is that when you start hitting a difficulty cap. So if you're like, oh man, I've been playing a lot of these games and I am hitting these levels that I'm struggling on. I've
Mm-hmm.
played a dozen times and I feel like we're getting close, but I just needed a little bit of a break from them. That's normally when people are like, okay, well, I'm going to go in for a visit. And instead of just like trying and trying and trying, wag a hold level 6, I'm
Mm-hmm.
now able to go in and say, what are the other ways that I can earn my coins? What are the
Mm-hmm.
other ways that I can have fun with my group? The second thing that normally happens is when someone is looking for those final coins to hit a reward,
Mm-hmm.
where they are like, man, there's got to be another way to earn these coins. And then they're like, oh, what's this beside the rewards on my score checkers? And then they find the badges and they're like, cool, I can check which ones I've completed. I can check which ones are incomplete. And now I'm going to look to see which ones are in my specific location. So I find that's normally when people explore the badges.
Yeah. Oh man, that's really cool. Yeah, I know for me that definitely, as you were speaking of that first, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely where I was at, where it was kind of like before I kind of went up to that next rank, it was like, I don't know if badges were a thing. Cool, let's work on these for a little bit. These games are getting too crazy, but yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's phenomenal.
the thing I wish is I adore badges. They
Mhm.
really refresh the experience to me. So if anyone is sitting there being like, "Oh man, I wish there was like one or two more things," badges just really fill that role for me. But I don't like to teach badges immediately because
Mhm.
there's so much to do at Activate, right? All of
Totally.
the cooperative games, the competitive games, the leaderboards, the reward system, so it's just like having to teach badges to someone who is like their first, even second time might be a little overwhelming. So
Yeah.
trying to figure out exactly how to teach people about badges is such a fine line of not wanting to overwhelm them, but wanting them to just experience Activate in that way that they want.
Yeah, totally. That makes a lot of sense. And actually, kind of relating to like the last episode that I did with James about AGL, I really like how it's like, yeah, you guys don't want to like overbear people with like information. So it's like, where do we start? It's kind of like, okay, like start with certain games, certain levels, work up with what you got, and then from there you can kind of branch off into all these side quests. Just one of the other things that I love about Activate.
Yeah. Just the fact that there are some players out there who have been coming like 2 to 3 times a week, and they're only just completing some of the systems for the first time. Like,
Yeah.
there is so much at Activate, and so it's all about trying to give them those little breadcrumbs to find things naturally, right?
Totally. Do you think like when it comes to like new batches of badges, do you think you'll ever reach like a cap of like how many badges you guys will have?
So I think it's all dependent. Right now, because a lot more players are hitting that 75 to 100% badges cap, we're kind of up to a space where I really want to put in new badges,
Mhm.
but I'm kind of up to the spot where I have had some pushback, right? Where
Mhm.
people like yourself, you're 12 badges away. If I
Yeah.
release like, hey, here's 20 new badges into the system, and
Yeah.
now you're going from 12 to badges away from your goal, right? You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm so pumped for this.
Yeah.
Trying to find that medium. I kind of think that's one of the reasons that we talked about doing it in batches is that people can be
Mhm.
prepared. Hey,
Yeah.
these badges are coming. You have a couple, like a little bit of time to make room for it in your schedule, make room
For
for it in
sure.
your gameplay loops. And so currently, I think we're at a little cap, but we're really just trying to discuss exactly when the right time is to add in new badges. Because we added in some new games, and I'd love to put badges into those new games, but I don't want people to say, I have this big moving goalpost that I am feeling it's impossible to get to.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I love how you guys are really thinking about like, okay, not only like how awesome can we make this, but how can we also make it feel accomplishable for all the players, which is phenomenal. So, all right, let's wrap things up with a little quick like lightning round just to get kind of your gut reaction on a few of these questions here. So, what do you think is the hardest badge to earn in your opinion?
The hardest badge to me is Total Recall 3, which is beat Link level 8 without hitting any button more than once.
Interesting. Hey, I honestly, I really enjoy Link. I guess it is crazy because, like, the thing is, you have to do it quickly and utilize all your players. Like, I can imagine it would be nearly impossible without 5 people. But
Yes,
yeah,
and a lot of people currently take off their shoes and take off their hat.
yeah,
I've seen people take off their shirts as like little
what?
markers.
That
And
is
so
so funny.
and to me, the fact that we have a badge that gets people to like literally strip in our rooms, which I don't condone, uh,
Yeah.
is a sign that the badge is difficult to do without those
Mhm.
means. So that's why I put it in a top echelon.
Totally. Oh man, that's honestly hilarious. But yeah, so I know for me, like when it comes to the hardest badge, one of the ones that I still have that I'm really nervous about is active 8888. Do you have a tip of where you'd suggest like trying to go about that one or anything
So
like that?
I would be surprised if you haven't already done this tip. but make sure that you look up where your top scores are and where other people's top scores are. Because if you're like, oh, I'm really excited to do Mines level 8 with Activate as the badge, and then you learn that the top score of all time is 8,700, you're never going to achieve that score of exactly 8,888.
Yeah.
So look for games that either you have or other people have in that way. And then the second suggestion is avoid games that have animations so that you can plan ahead so that you can get down to the second hitting that final button or doing anything like that.
Totally. Yeah, and I love how it actually makes you like do the math of like I remember getting 1, 2, 3, 4 thumb war, whatever it's called
Yes.
with Corwin initially, and it was so funny because we did the math wrong and we were like exactly 50 off, and we were like, we didn't lose a heart, and like it was just like it was so much fun, but it was so satisfying when you actually got it. So.
Can I ask what level you did thumb war in, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, it would have been grid level 1, I think.
Grid level 1.
Or not grid, sorry, zones. That's what I meant.
Zones, okay.
Yeah,
Makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
That's a lot of math too. That's a lot of second counting.
Yeah, exactly. Grid would have been a bit crazy, but yeah, no, we definitely.
Yeah, I did mine in gems.
Okay, yeah, that checks out. Yeah. But yeah, all right. And then finally, what is a badge name that you think is just like plain cool?
So truthfully, I think the one that like really resonated with me is one I actually already spoke about. And I don't think it's everyone's coolest, but Chasing Rainbows to me is one of the best ones because it's something I think that if you heard about, let's say you were listening to this podcast and you didn't catch the definition of where I went with the badge. So you just heard someone talking about chasing rainbows. It's something that you could look around and see something that is all different colors. And so it's a game name that I think teaches you how to do the game name. And I think that that's why it resonates with me a lot, where people are like, oh man, what is this chasing rainbows? To me, it's like the perfect name of like an Easter egg one.
Yes.
Where it is like someone hears about it and they're like, oh man, I don't even really know where to find the badges, or I'm not going to look up where Chasing Rainbows is. Everyone's signing in with these different colors. I could see it being like, oh, I bet it's to chase the different colors I'm looking and seeing around.
Totally. Oh yeah, that's really cool. And like, yeah, I remember this one being super hard when you had the like star system where there was only like the 8 ranks. So it was like trying to find somebody at all the different levels. But with the new system, I think it should be much easier.
The amount of first timers who were probably called in by a bunch of rank 8s to just be like, hey, I don't know you, but just scan in right here. I just need your color. I just need your color.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what happened for us. It was like one staff, like me. I brought like a bunch of different friends, my little sister, my brothers. Like it was insane. There was always like one person was off, but it was a blast to actually get. It was super satisfying.
My favorite story about it was someone told me that they were really close and they were going to call in a new person and they had everything set up. And then as they scanned in from the game before, one of the people ranked up. And so now they had 2 people of the same rank. And so it ruined all of their plans and they had to redo it another visit because they had 2, I think it was rank 5s because they had just completed the number of stars. And it was like, no.
Yeah. So it wasn't even like a rank 1 where it's just like, okay, just like make a secondary account. It's like, that's so painful. But yeah, that's funny. Well, yeah. Before we close things out, I always like to give my guests a chance to share anything that we might have missed. So is there anything that you'd like to touch on that we haven't covered today?
Yeah. What would you say is your absolutely favorite badge?
That's a tough one. I know one that I did really like was the what was it called? Where you're always jumping in order up.
Always jump. I don't remember the name of it, but the one where you can't use the safe zone
in
order up.
It's safety second. That's what it was.
Safety second.
It was so good. I remember just doing that with Chris and being like, it was so much fun. Like it was tricky, but it was just like seeing order up kind of, like you're saying, like just being able to play it in a new way and just see that was like phenomenal. I think it's just very well done badge, and it just like made me laugh so hard because y'all jumping around like kangaroos. And it's like anybody watching is probably like, what, do they not know that they can use the middle? But it's super fun.
Is there anything else that you wish the badges system did for you? Like, is there any extra things that you would want?
Yeah. I mean, I think that a cool thing would be kind of to have like maybe tiers of rewards. that come with like different types of badges, like maybe like, something like I saw that like the 100% badges rewards kind of like a trophy or something. But even if it was like, okay, you've reached this badge threshold, you get like a different like custom water bottle. Maybe it's like a blue water bottle or
Cool.
like
Or
something
like
like that, I think. Or like a specific
one of the
t-shirt or
new sticker
something or
packs.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like something like exclusive to be like, okay, like not only is this like a cool like Activate merch, but it's kind of like exclusive to people that really hunt for those badges, I think would be really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
For
I
sure.
like that because every badge has that unique image already, right? So it is like
Exactly. Yeah.
you could say,
Yeah.
hey, even if it was like unlock these specific badges and that
Mhm.
unlocks that sticker pack for you because you have
Totally.
every one of the badges in the sticker.
Yeah, exactly. And like who doesn't want like a sticker pack of like Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet? Like that one's so cool with all the different colors. I love that one. But yeah, oh man. Well, this sounds super exciting and honestly, like, don't change anything until I get my 100%. But once you do, I'm excited to see kind of what's in store for this. And honestly, like the way that you guys have done it already has been phenomenal. So thanks so much for setting that up and thanks for talking about it on the podcast.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on here so I can talk about them.
Yeah, of course. All right. So to our listeners, make sure you join the Discord if you haven't already. There'll be a link in the description down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel wherever you're listening. And as always, have fun and keep activated. Bye for now.
Congratulations. Replay option is available.